Hi, and welcome to this episode of John's Motorcycle Rescue and Review. I'm super excited here. Work has begun on my next project, and that is Honda's 1980 Hawk 400T. The Hawk 400T is roughly equivalent to the European CB400N, although the CB400N had the dual disc brakes up front and a couple more horsepower from the engine. If you're like me and you like bikes from the 70s and 80s, what to me is really that golden era of motorcycles, please feel free to like and subscribe. I feature lots of great classic bike content on this channel. I recently purchased this bike at a motorcycle swap meet and show. A few of the reasons I picked it up are that it has very low mileage on it. It has 3,800 original miles, and it seems to be almost 100% original and complete. The gas tank on the bike is also very, very clean inside. And so this seems like it's going to be a pretty straightforward refresh on this bike or light restoration. I'm going to do my best to keep things as original as possible. You can click here to see the playlist that I'm developing for this motorcycle restoration project. It follows the restoration from the point that I bought the motorcycle through the completion of the restoration project. And then I'll be featuring some ride review and comparison videos with some other classic bikes once the mechanicals are sorted out and this bike is out on the road. In the previous video, I did a walk around and showed the starting point of the project. And one of the first things that we covered was the gas tank. There were some scratches on the back of the gas tank. There was some discoloration on the side of the gas tank and a couple of nicks and chips. One of the first things I did working on it was to get the gas tank cleaned up as much as possible, and then I went in and with some touch-up paint I touched up all of the scratches on the tank. They are still visible. I may try to refine this a little bit more and make it a little bit nicer, but I'm really happy with the way that it's turning out, especially compared to what I started with. The discoloration on the side of the tank came clean, and that looks really good as well. There were also some scuffs and scratches and nicks on the tail section of the motorcycle, and I have gone in with some cleaner wax and some polish, and I've polished most of that out, and I'll be touching that up a little bit more, but you can see it's already a lot better than it was when I started. You can see some of the pinstriping that still needs to be touched up. They just have nicks in a couple of spots. I will have to mix up some paint to match the pinstriping and then make sure that those lines are nice and look much better than they do right now. You can see in this picture the gas tank, the side panels, the tail section, everything really cleaned up nicely, and I wanted to take this photo before I stripped the bodywork off of the motorcycle. After the bodywork was removed, I cut off the old handle grips. I've got new hand grips to put on there. I also drained the oil and removed the old oil filter that was in there. Thankfully, the oil looked pretty decent. I didn't see any metallic flakes in it, and it looked relatively clear. It didn't stink of gas, and it still had lubrication to it. I did not find the oil filter washer when I pulled the oil filter off of there that sits on top of the spring. Those went missing almost instantly with a lot of the bikes with the cartridge oil filter. They would stick to the bottom of the oil filter, and people would throw them away. So I had to order a new washer for this, and I'm waiting for that. Another thing I did was to remove the spark plugs and spray some WD-40 into the cylinders and allow that to just sit and work. I usually leave this for a couple of days and allow it to penetrate, and it makes the initial friction and startup a whole lot less, and at least the cylinder walls have some kind of lubrication on them and it's not a completely dry start. When I opened the airbox, I saw that there was no air filter in the airbox, and that should be an oiled foam unit, so I ordered one of those. The battery looked to be very old, so I pulled that out and I ordered a sealed unit. I'll be replacing the battery here as soon as that comes in. The next thing I did was look at the front brakes. Even though the brakes were functioning when I purchased it, when I took the top off of the master cylinder, there was no brake fluid in the master cylinder. Most of the brake fluid had leaked out and dried inside the caliper. And you can see that here, it's the yellow residue. It almost looks like sawdust. It contaminated the brake pads, so I've had to order new brake pads for this bike. In the meantime, I went ahead and completely disassembled the front brake caliper Every part in there needed to be cleaned and lubricated. I went in and made sure that the surface on the inside of the piston here was clean and free of debris. I also cleaned out the groove that holds the rubber seal very, very carefully and removed a lot of the dried brake fluid. I pulled the piston out and cleaned that, and looking at that, that actually looks pretty decent. I don't see any major pitting or areas that will cause me to have to replace that. So I ordered a new rubber seal for the brake caliper itself, and when that comes in, I'll put it in the groove and then I'll slide the piston back in and reassemble everything with the new brake pads. My next steps in this project are waiting for the parts to come in. Once those parts come in, I want to finish the oil change on the bike. In the meantime, I want to pull off the carburetors and clean those out, make sure those all look good inside and that all of the passages are perfectly clean. It's a simple bike, it's a twin cylinder, so that means the carburetor job should take about half the time. I've also been working on the cosmetics on the bike. I've been cleaning the chrome on it. That includes the front fender, the exhaust pipes. I'll also need to clean and service the chain and clean the shocks and install the grips. I'm really happy with the progress that I'm making on this project, and I'm really looking forward to getting out on the road and seeing how this bike rides. I've never ridden one of these. All right, I'll keep you guys informed on the progress that I'm making on this project. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post those in the comment section below. As always, I hope you found this video entertaining and informative, and until next time, enjoy the ride.